Did you ever wish that you could be invisible? It can be scary being visible. Scary because people can see you and see all your flaws and mistakes. When I got my dog, Mr. Magoo, the first thing I did was teach him not to chew up my shoes. The next thing was I took him to the park so he could be socialized. Now Mr. Magoo is a totally self-confident dog, and everywhere he goes, he expects to be accepted. Some of us didn't get that training, or it didn't take, and our expectations are not that we'll be accepted. From as far back as I can remember, that was me. But as much as I wanted to, I couldn't hide or fade into the background because I had inherited this big, exuberant personality that I couldn't control. I started to hate parties and avoided them. I was even afraid to walk into a group of people that I knew because I was sure that everybody was looking at me and judging me and seeing every mistake I made. On top of being animated, I was also impulsive. So I made mistakes. I bumped and broke things and got in trouble. When I was a little kid and I got in trouble with Grandma, I could run outside, climb the chinaberry tree, determined to stay there forever. And I would rail, "I'm going to stay here till I die. If I'm dead, you'll be sorry. You can't be mad at me if I'm dead." But when I grew up and started a career, that didn't work for me anymore. If somebody had told me that in my future I would be successful in a business that was totally dependent on people and that my big fat personality would be an asset, I wouldn't have believed them. But that's just what happened. I built my career and a company in staffing and recruiting, which is totally a people business, where I had to meet strangers, gain their trust, learn about them, understand them, and match jobs and people. I became successful, but success didn't change me. I still had the same big personality. I just learned to use it. In time, I learned the most valuable lesson of all, to accept myself, flaws and all. I still made mistakes. I get all excited and jump over to tails and miss something. But my mistakes were funny too, at least in retrospect. I had an important client, a stock brokerage firm. He hired all of his administrative staff from me. And one day he called and said he needed someone to work in the cashier's cage. That meant work with the bearer bonds and securities, and that meant money. He wanted somebody with an accounting degree. Big mistake. Jumping into something that I had no resources to do, but I said I'd do it. 2 weeks passed, then 3. He was getting antsy. I was getting more uptight. Then one day a woman walked in, perfect. She had an accounting degree. She was poised. She was lovely. And next mistake, once again, without looking, I jumped. I picked up the phone, called him and said, "Jack, I have your person. She's perfect. I'll send her now." And I did. 30 minutes later, Jack called me back and said, "Ruthie, you're right. Sharon was a lovely person. But we agreed that this might not be the right job for her. She might have a problem with bonding." My stomach fell. Jack said, "Did you happen to see the 3-year gap on her resume?" I said nothing. He said, "So you don't know what she was doing for that 3 years?" "Oh, nothing." "Does the word incarcerated mean anything to you, Ruthie?" I said, "I think I should go now." Jack said, "No, wait. There's more. Would you like to know what she was incarcerated for?" And I went, "No." And he said, "Does the word embezzlement mean anything?" I went, "My mother's calling. I have to go," and hung up. But he was laughing. What my story proves is not that we become perfect, but that your success is not just about your strengths. It's about the whole person. And if my story doesn't help you, remember this. Everything that's ever been done in the whole history of the world was done by somebody who had flaws and made mistakes.